go to a hotel and you kind of have to refigure out how to get the shower at that perfect temperature that's not just medium or too hot, too cold. Some temperatures are some handles when you go to hotels, it's like a Mercedes wheel, or it's like the Titanic. You have to keep going. 50 turns eventually gets it to hot. Some showers, the slightest half inch of a move and you're burning. It's scalding hot. So I think we need to adapt some sort of universal knob on showers, because like I said, sometimes 9 rotations gets you to warm. On other showers, you go to your friend's house, one slight click, you have 3rd degree burns all over your body. But now that we're officially started, hello, welcome to the You're Still Here podcast. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for another episode. As I was saying before I finally fired live on YouTube, this week is going to be a little different. I realized the last couple of weeks I kind of had a bunch of topics and I made sure I wanted to hit them, so half hour would go by before I even checked in to see if any tomfoolery was going on. Speaking of tomfoolery, Mr. Tom Fool just entered the conversation. But this episode of the You're Still Here podcast is proudly brought to you by Colgate, the second best toothpaste. Colgate, the second best toothpaste that I guess you go to if Crest is out, because Lord knows you're only choosing Colgate if that 3D is out. And let me tell you who deserves a raise. Whoever the hell, and by the way, this is not sponsored by Colgate. There are no sponsors to the You're Still Here podcast other than you, the listeners. But I want to know who came up with that Crest 3D paste, because that was the game changer. That's now the gold standard. If you got that Crest 3D in your shelf, that's number one. But when I was a kid, it was Crest and Colgate ran neck and neck. And then whoever threw that 3D in there, he changed the game. Then Crest became the gold standard. If someone's got that Colgate in their cabinet, how into hygiene are they really? You know, there's a clear 1A, 1B. And you want to talk about monopolies? You want to talk about YouTube having a monopoly on these streaming services and whatnot? Or not streaming services, but you want YouTube having a monopoly on kind of, I guess, video sharing platforms? Well, how about Crest and Colgate? How does one get into the toothpaste game? That's a monopolistic game that no one talks about, because we're just talking about toothpaste. It's Colgate and Crest, like WWF and WCW, and eventually there's just WWF or WWE, and that is Crest. And I don't want to hear that Sensodyne stuff that you're talking about. Aquafresh. These are the things when you're at one of those airports and you just need to grab something, but that's where you get Aquafresh. Is that the one with the 3 distinct lines? Sensodyne? What is that? Is that for horses? I don't want to hear anything about that. This is completely different, but you guys obviously know Apple TV, right? When someone has an Apple TV, you fire up the Apple TV and you can use any of those apps. Well, I used to say that if you went back to a girl's place and she had a Roku, you knew she was low maintenance. You knew that you didn't have to take her to the top of the line restaurants. She wasn't a high maintenance girl if she had that Roku just stuck into the side of her TV. If she was a prime Apple TV with the TV properly mounted, you better be taking her to somewhere nice. Okay? It's not going to be those 3.5 stars on Yelp. No, she's got that Roku, you take her anywhere you want. Okay? You take her to Buffalo Wild Wings to watch the Buffalo Bills get heartbroken, which unfortunately which is what happened yesterday. But I guess we'll get to football in a second, because this is one of those, I try not to really get too deep into sports, because you never, when when someone's not into sports, if you go into sports for too long, it's hard for them to stay with it. But I'm going to have to talk about this past weekend of NFL games because they were absolutely crazy. But before I get there, I want to let you know that I was supposed to go to Gasparilla this weekend. And if you don't know what that is, that's a pirate festival in Tampa Bay where everyone goes on that river there that you saw Tom Brady and Gronkowski and them partying on and the Tampa Bay Lightning when they won the Stanley Cup. Well, everyone who's got a boat in that area hightails it to Tampa this weekend, and it's just a huge party weekend. But as I told you a couple weeks ago, when I made a one-time exception from the rule I told you last year, never get yourself involved with theoretical good times. A theoretical good time would be going out in New York City on New Year's. You're going to watch that ball drop until you see that the Ubers are 9x and they kick you out of places at 1 a.m. and it ends up being just a big scam and you end up having a way worse time than if you went out the following weekend on January 8th. Well, I was almost going to go to Gasparilla. I was almost going to go because I have my brother there and it was going to be partying, but I canceled it because I knew that in an alternate universe, if there was another me looking at me, I'd be sick. Because do you imagine I went to this? I went to this Gasparilla, and it turns out it's 4 times the weight to get into a bar, and the prices are all jacked up, and it's this scam and that scam. I wouldn't be able to live with myself. How could I show up to a theoretical court where there's other versions of me from all the other universes? One has a beard, one has that mustache that you saw me have, and they go, "What were you thinking? You knew. You've seen it. You saw all those people who booked 6-day Vegas trips when you knew it should have been 4 because they're completely gassed after 5. You knew all this and you still went to Gasparilla?" No, I didn't. I literally canceled my ticket and I said, "What were you thinking?" And that's what brings me here to this podcast. So I was supposed to go down there for this weekend. I was supposed to go down to Tampa and celebrate Gasparilla, and I'm not. But I will be going there next weekend. And what weekend is that? What weekend is next weekend that I'm going to Tampa? It's just the weekend of like February 6th. It's called a random regular guy weekend. And those are the times that you want to be shooting for. Regular guy weekends in Salt Lake City. April 19th. What's April 19th? I have no clue, but it's a good weekend to go to Salt Lake City. All right? Oh, yes. The good old letdown is the good old letdown is actually an understatement. It's the great older. I'm just stuck. This is a guy. I'm glitching out like a NHL player. Anyway, as I said, the NFL playoffs, they just went down, and they were some of the craziest games that you'll ever see. Now, after watching the Raiders game a few weeks ago, you find yourself saying that's the so I'm not going to say you'll never see a crazier game because the way it's structured now, I don't know if I was saying there's angels in the outfield. Have you ever seen the movie where there's angels carrying balls? Well, during the Rams game, the field goal kicker's field goal just went 5 yards short. Tony Danza came out of the sky like an angel's in the outfield, pulled the thing down. It was literally out of like a, I would say Disney movie, but then it wouldn't be entertaining. So it was out of, it was a New Line Cinema movie. I'll always stand behind them. You know, you create Kruger, you got a nice 50-year window in my book. But after last week's weekend, you had the team that I thought was going to win the Super Bowl and the Packers get eliminated. And then you go online and, Twitter wasn't short for jokes about Aaron Rodgers and the shot and not getting a shot. I tell you, this is how I know everyone. This is how I know all people are not cut out to be performers and how I know TikTokers are eventually doomed for failure. They can't stop themselves from taking the low-hanging fruit. That's what Twitter is. It's what TikTok. Zero originality. Congratulations, you made the Aaron Rodgers, didn't get the shot. not going to get a shot. It's a chalk joke, and if you don't know what chalk is, it's the thing that everyone does. It's the chalk joke, and may God have mercy on your soul, because Lord knows I don't. But when it comes to riveting television, the ending of that Chiefs-Bills game, which really, it was crazy. And let me give you a 2-minute drill of a 20-minute drill. But Josh Allen, quarterback of the Bills, and Patrick Mahomes, quarterback of the Chiefs, just going back, forth. Every time you thought it was going to be the last drive to win the game, a full another drive would happen. Chiefs go down by 3 points with like a minute and a half left. They score a touchdown. Bills score another touchdown, and then with 13 seconds left, which it's unbelievable. This should never happen. Kansas City goes down the field, forces overtime, and then wins it in overtime. And let me tell you something. You got to feel for Josh Allen in those scenarios. He played like an absolute stud. He played jacked up. He played like he had all the juices flowing in him. One might even say that he took Viagra. And why would you say, what do you mean he took Viagra? Why would you say Josh Allen took Viagra? Well, that's because before the playoffs started, there was a clip that went semi-viral on NFL Live about Bart Scott and Louis Riddick, where they were talking about how Josh Allen struggles in the cold because he has poor circulation sent to his feet. And in a heroic fashion, in my opinion, Bart Scott says, he really needs to take Viagra. Now, you as a listener probably went, what? But then he proceeds to say, yeah, that's what everyone did when I played. I don't know about them now, but yeah, we used to take Viagra to get blood flowing to the extremities. And then, in typical, you're not allowed to say anything relevant, and everything that even has the slightest bit of topic that may be unappealing to the 10-year-old audience, I guess, out there. Bart Scott got shot down like he was, a flat earther or something. They were acting as if this guy is a flat earther. Kick him off YouTube. Make sure this guy's never seen again. The energy in the room went dead. Like what? And then you saw it in Bart Scott's face. It's like he saw his ESPN job flashing before his eyes. And I felt bad for the guy. But what kind of world do we live in where an NFL player tells you that's what people who played when I played, which is not long ago, did when we played in the cold? Do you know what the proper follow-up question to that is? You took Viagra and other people took Viagra? Tell me more. But no, because we're in a world, and especially with medications and all that stuff right now, God forbid you talk about anything. Don't act like you people at home. I know people who are 20, they should be the horniest in their life, and they walked into a gas station and taken those. I don't even know what that stuff is. And I don't even know how they would think that work. But that stuff you see of a shredded guy who needs to get it up in a gas station, I've seen people, I know people who have taken that. I said, what is wrong with you? Why would you ever take something like that? Why don't you may as well go eat the 7-Eleven, a corn dog, those things that they have rotating over there. It's unbelievable that there's always like one or two left, meaning they're sold out. These 7-Eleven corn dogs are sold out. Crazy. But like I said, I know people who have taken that whatever those snake oil supplements are to help them get it up. Why they can't get it up at 20, I don't know. But if Bart Scott's telling you that during the playoffs he freaking took this stuff, I want to hear about it, but no, can't have that. Can't have that on any of those channels. God forbid anything entertaining creeps through in there. At the top of this, before I can get this going, I was saying I'm going to stop in little increments to address you guys, viewers here and on YouTube. I know, especially on YouTube, I'm going to apologize for not getting to some of the stuff that you were saying, but I need to pause every now and then. This week I am kind of freewheeling. Angels in the end zone. Yeah, Angels in the end zone is absolutely correct. That is what it was, and it was wild watching some of those games go down. And I want to tell you about something. These are not made-up stories, and if there is a certain Bills fan who's listening right now, not the one who's commented, but the one who was the recipient of what I'm about to talk about, now's the time to go watch your parlay that you inevitably made at some point today. But I told you guys how I'm not going to Gasparilla because I can seek out misery. I can play Floyd Mayweather defense and defend potential miserable times down the road. Well, something new has been bestowed upon me. I'm pretty sure this is way closer to a curse than it is a blessing. But I'm starting to feel other people's misery ahead of time. Ever since the Islanders, who I'm a very big fan of, lost that Game 7, and sciatica just appeared in me the next day, I've entered a different level of speaking the language of misery. It's like I know the language, I smell the language, I know all the signs. I'm literally Haley Joel Osment. I see dead people in terms of misery. I see miserable people. And before the playoffs started, I have the screenshot. Yeah, I know it was 3-2. Saw that 0-2 comeback. Thank you for that, Nick. If there is a score, please update me. And wow, this is how bad my mind goes. I don't know exactly which part I just left off, but something struck me before the Bills playoff game started, and I woke up. I swear to you, I woke up. Imagine this, having nightmares for other people. This doesn't pertain to me. I don't care what the Bills do. I don't care if they win. I don't care if they lose. And I just felt in my bones. In the text, I said, buddy, I have awful news. The Bills are going to pull an Islanders on you. They're going to crush the Patriots and get your hopes to an all-time high and get your confidence to an all-time high in them, to the point where you feel invincible, like most Islander fans did after overtime in Game 6 against the Lightning. And they're going to pull your heart out in a painstaking fashion to the likes of which you have never seen before. And he obviously dismissed this. Who would wake up to a text like that and say, all right, this guy's out of his mind. What is he talking about? He goes, just because you said that, I threw some extra on the Bills now. I texted him 2 days later. I'm like, listen, this is not like a college me trash talking you. I said, please put as much money as you can on the Chiefs, because something bad is coming for you, and I at least want you to have money made on the blast that's about to be put through your emotions. And he didn't, and I believe he tripled down on his Bills, and you saw how it ended. They took the lead with 13 seconds left, where in 999 times out of 1,000, that's good enough to win the game. But for the first time that I can remember, a team with 13 seconds left got themselves into field goal range, forced overtime, and then won in overtime, just eviscerating the hearts of anyone who follows the Buffalo Bills. Now, I know you could say that the Buffalo Bills lost 3 Super Bowls in a row, but it's all about the setup. I have a saying. It's called, they showed me the penthouse on my way to the dungeon. And that's what makes the dungeon feel worse. When you got to see the penthouse, it was Addams Family Values, and they showed you the vault, and there was stacks of gold in there. But then, just like in Addams Family, you kept turning and went back to the miserable kitchen, fell through the trap door, and got spit outside into the cemetery. And that's what happened to Buffalo Bills fans. They got shown the penthouse on their way to the dungeon that they currently are still sitting in. So, well, Nick, you're listening to. Well, you can't wait to listen to but this is the next podcast, and you have another podcast up to the side with the Islander games. We'll get to that in a second. That's just called like this Gen Z ADD to the 10th degree. Sounds like I'm freestyling, but that's what everyone does now. And how I know this is because I said I was watching those games, and gambling is legal now in New York, so I'm watching it with a couple friends. Now, mind you, we are watching one of the best games in the history of the sport. We're watching this Bills versus Chiefs game. But because gambling is legal and there's no red zone where it's cutting from game to game, my friends are betting useless things in useless games. In the NBA, they're betting second quarter prop bets in the Golden State Warriors game because of the need for constant stimulus. Now, typically, I would have thought, come on, legalize gambling is good. I don't know if this ends well for some people. I think people who are gambling before this, including myself, unless it's illegal to say that and then I'm just joking for the podcast, but I think the people who have not gambled and now feel okay to do so, they might be in some big trouble. Love to see a relationship percentage graph of those who started gambling now. I'd love to see what happens from here on out when that savings account, that joint savings account, hits an all-time low. But that really was some next-level entertainment in those football games that was going on over the past weekend. It's something that I will mention every week. You don't get that on TV. Nothing's entertaining on television, as I keep saying. But what I said about that feeling I'm getting for other people now, how I can feel other people's miserable situations, it's like the Grim Reaper kind of saw I planted my flags on everything, and I knew like, no, I could see misery coming there. I'm going to leave Vegas a day early. Now, it's like I feel it coming for other people. I am the Grim Reaper of misery. And how coincidental is it? Because I was thinking about that term after the game, and how interesting is it that Andy Reid told Patrick Mahomes, when it's grim, go be the Grim Reaper. I don't know. It's quite the coincidence, if you ask me. But like I said, that NFL game, it was riveting television, unlike anything else you will see on television, because things are not entertaining anymore. And a great microcosm of this, of entertainment as a whole, would be wrestling. If you can't tell, I was a huge wrestling guy growing up. A lot of people were. A lot of people don't know this, but in the late 90s, during the WWF Wrestling Attitude Era, Monday Night Raw pulled in higher numbers than Monday Night Football. That's right. That is right. That's how entertaining pro wrestling was. And so much to the point that it allowed people like The Rock to transcend wrestling and enter the world of actual entertainment and turn into what you've seen today. That all started because of how popular wrestling was. But now wrestling is 16% as entertaining as it used to be during the glory days there, and those ratings have rightfully returned to their true king, the NFL. You know why I don't believe anybody when they tell me, well, you think those things are on TV, but you think they're not entertaining. They are entertaining. It's your way of looking at things that is kind of being phased out. Well, then you tell me if this is a me thing and I'm just supposing that things aren't entertaining on television and in the movies despite all their tanking numbers. Why is it that the NFL has the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 15th highest rated telecast throughout the course of the year. Why is that? Why is that? And it's very simple. It's because this country really just still is a bunch of goons sitting on their couch watching football. They're just not on Twitter telling us what we should truly be watching. They won't be shoving Euphoria up our ass like they are now. Now, it used to be The Sopranos. Euphoria can't literally... If the... No. Not at all. As I talk about that, about the WWE being getting higher ratings than the NFL, I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes I know I tell you guys things that are borderline not believable, but I knew somebody, he was also a huge wrestling fan in the 90s. When he went to a girl's place, if he stayed at a girl's place, he had like a calling card. You know how in Home Alone, there was the wet bandits because they would leave the sink on? Or in Home Alone 2, they were the sticky bandits. Well, his calling card was he would download WWE Network on a girl's Roku because those Apple TV girls, they didn't like him. He could only get those Roku girls. But he would download WWE Network on their Roku and proceed to leave a pay-per-view running on their TV as he left. And based on the time he had with them was the pay-per-view that he left running on their TV. So if he had a fantastic time with the girl, he was leaving WrestleMania 10 running on that TV. If he hated her, she was getting like WCW Bash at the Beach. And what's so hysterical about this, like they would actually know the difference. Like they would actually care and be like, do you believe that he downloaded the WWE network and he left me on SummerSlam 92? But you don't get much funnier of a calling card than that. Imagine that. Picture this girl waking up in the morning and she's hearing Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler on her television. That's as good as it gets. That's as good as it gets. Now you don't get Jerry the King Lawler and Jim Ross. And you only got 2 weeks of football left. Only 2 weeks of quality programming left. I almost like that there's the week in between the Super Bowl. One more week of hope. Until eventually they take it away. I don't know if you saw, but the Super Bowl was asking for volunteers to dance. So the Super Bowl, they need people to dance for the halftime show. Last week I had told you guys how it never gets talked about, all those little things in Hollywood. And, well, 3-3, that's nice. The aisles are just nothing like they used to be. They'll blow any lead. It used to be 1-goal lead halfway through the game, game's over. Not anymore. Even at home, it's a disgrace. Anyway, so like I told you last week, Hollywood treats a huge contingent of their performers in an awful fashion. It's just not advertised. And even what's even worse is they advertise the opposite. They claim that they're for the people, by the people. They ain't shit. They hate everyone. They treat non-union extras like unvaccinated NFL players. They get treated like Aaron Rodgers is getting treated on Twitter right now. But now at least they're being public with this one. They're asking regular people to dance at the halftime show. Probably not regular people, but people who know how to dance. And they're asking them to do it for free. So if they tear their knee during the halftime show, who pays for that? Oh, I guess just them. So they're coming, working for free. And what are they going to do? They're going to do that prostitution thing where they promise, well, yeah, but you're going to be on the Super Bowl show. You're going to be on the halftime show. And if you pause one frame of that entire performance, you may be able to circle a little grain in the back of the TV, which is you. It might not be you because it's blurred, but it might be you. So just come for the rehearsal, for the full day. We're not going to feed you anything. Come for the full day, and then you could say you were on the field during the Super Bowl. You know what I said when I saw that? They should have just said it was an internship. Call it an internship and be done with it. Because that is this week's scam of the week, even though that's more than the scam of the week. That's the scam of the week. It's the scam of the year. It's the scam of the decade. It's the scam of the century. It's internships. Indentured servantry with a different name. Internships, you know, that thing where you just get paid no money to actually work a job for a company based on the promise that, oh, well, you'll be kind of considered more than the next person when it comes to finding a job. Well, what does that entry-level job pay at NBC? Oh, well, you know, 25 grand, but you'll have an inside track at it. Internships give you college credits. Oh, no, but we give you credit. You know what else gives you credit? Going to a community college in between years, and it costs like $300, and all of a sudden, yeah, those give you credits too. It's one of the biggest scams this world has ever seen, and it's somehow legal. Now, we're already seeing that college athletes they realize, well, you know, they're making a lot of money on the backs of these kids. Well, take interns as a collective throughout the country and think about how much money is being earned off of them. It's the biggest scam ever. It's modern day indentured servantry where you got to pay for your lunches, you got to pay for your transportation. Maybe they reimburse that. And obviously this doesn't apply to paid internships, but the fact that there has to be a term called paid internships literally reveals how much of a scam it is in the first place. I remember let's just say I know someone who did an internship for NBC, classic no paid, that's English. And at NBC, they promote something called the Page Program. The Page Program, this is a somewhat glorified indentured servantry where you're working for, I don't even remember how many nickels it was, but it's not something that you would be excited about. And they rotate you. I think they had to refer to this on 30 Rock. Well, the Page Program, it's one step above an internship, one step below an actual job. And remember, an entry-level job in the media, you may as well be scooping ice cream for Haagen-Dazs. It's the same type of pay. So they find a way to, I guess they rotate you between departments. So they say, oh, you're getting experience with all these different places, even though you're making no money. And what they do is they take the one person, and remember, there's a new class every year, which means there's hundreds, thousands, Lord knows how many pages there are. And they would always say, Regis Philbin was a page. They would just keep saying Regis Philbin. Like when I was pursuing acting and my mom told me that Brad Pitt was spinning a sign outside of El Pollo Loco. Say, well, you said Brad Pitt was spinning a sign outside of El Pollo Loco. Look what happened to him. Well, there were a lot of other people spinning those El Pollo Loco signs. And guess where they are right now? Yeah, you know where they are. They're on Pico and Fairfax, spinning that same El Pollo Loco sign right now. Well, this is what they did with Regis Philbin. Well, I wonder if they're still doing it now. The guy's dead. If the only person that you can hold up to show your program is worthwhile is dead, you might want to reconsider joining a program like that. That was like one of my professors in college. I studied film, television, everything like that. And, you know, he would hand out his resume, kind of. And he was a producer on the lifestyles of the rich and the famous. My teacher was a producer on the lifestyles of the rich and famous in like 1967 or whatever the hell year. And sitting there, anything post 2000, you're supposed to value that. Do you know how quickly industries change? And they're rolling out this guy's bones, teaching me about, you know, the entertainment industry through the lens of the life and the lifestyles of the rich and the famous in 1967. That's a huge problem with anybody who's studying anything in college that isn't constantly replenishing their teachers and their curriculums with the current standard. I do not know how somebody could be studying anything in film and TV if it's not rapidly being updated on the fly, because you're just learning outdated technology, outdated everything, and that doesn't just apply to that. What about like tech and stuff? I don't know, but when it comes to college, acting teachers. My brother goes to school in Tampa. There's not a chance in hell any of those acting teachers can sit right here and just rip for an hour. There's a 0% chance. There's a zero. So what are they teaching these kids? Zero. They're teaching them nothing. They're teaching them generic theater arts. From what? From what? An era, from 100 years ago? Meanwhile, what I find fascinating, and now I'm just going wild, I'm going off the cuff, but how can kids learn acting when their whole life consists of like being on their phone? When you're in a scene, you're not allowed to just... I do find that interesting, especially when you watch shows. What's the one with the young people on Netflix? The show, young people, hot girls, chicks. I don't know. It sounds something like the Boondocks or what. I don't know what the... damn it. I have no clue. However, I find it fascinating when you see like Gen Z kids in a scene and they're talking to each other. They don't talk to each other like that. They just have to shoot it like that because two people always looking at their phones would not be pleasant enough to look at. You guys, this. This is certain. If you don't think so, talk to someone under 20. Their eye contact will last under 7 seconds. But then you watch a show, I'm just going to call it the Boondocks, whatever the hell that thing is on Netflix. What is it called? It's pissing me off. And they're looking at each other for these prolonged scenes. No. But, when glancing at your phone doesn't translate, it does not translate. So, yeah, the Super Bowl is asking people to dance for free. They're asking them to be interns. And then because of this made the rounds last night, and I saw that Boycott Pepsi was trending. Boycott Pepsi, because it's the Pepsi halftime show, and yeah, Lord knows, I'm sure Pepsi isn't, they don't have any workers overseas who they're having work for zero either. But when was the last time a boycott ever worked? When did a boycott work? Because we see it every year. Boycott Nike! Boycott Pepsi! Nobody's boycotting. Stop with the boycotting. Because if I'm one of these companies, I'm looking to go, they're not pulling through on that. You are too late. You can't remember. You have to make the same New Year's resolutions every single year. That's how unreliable you are. You're going to follow through on a boycott. You have to make the excuse diet starts on Monday every Wednesday because you already ruined it, and you're going to follow through with your Nike boycott. You're not boycotting anything. You're not. And to a certain extent, I'm not either. I got some soft boycotts. I'll tell you those. They're not fit for these platforms. But I've got some funny boycotts. It doesn't work. It's like when somebody boycotts, that's like if a celebrity has a side chick and she's like, well, you know what? If it's not me, don't call me anymore. Your regular ass who never has a chance to meet someone like me again? No, I'll actually call you when I'm good and ready, and you're just going to answer because you don't have any other options. That's what boycotting is. You're a celebrity side chick. You're going right back to Nike. All right? I have some other scams that I want to tell you guys. I guess we already did kind of get to 40-something minutes. Because, a lot of times I really have a lot of stuff set out. This week I'm kind of winging it. This is going to be a discounted scam. There's just a guy with a full Russian name in Cyrillic in my YouTube chat. And that's hilarious to me. And he told me VYN, FYI. I have no clue what that means, sir. What is VYN? It's going to be real funny if that's something very embarrassing. And now I'm like that guy in Wayne's World who says sphincter says what? In Russia, is VYN the sphincter says what? But anyway, let me go. I got a scam that is a half scam because I talked about it a couple years back. But just because I made a video about something, people are not scrollers. People don't go down on your profile and watch old stuff. It's one of my big issues with all these social media platforms. Nobody scrolls down. I don't know who started this, but you're labeled a creep if you go down like, oh, he's stalking. No, if somebody has a comedy page and you go ha-ha at the first 3 videos, you should be able to go 35 videos down, click one, and go ha-ha because it's a comedy page. But nobody goes down. Nobody goes down on any of these videos. Go down on my videos. No, like for real though. You know how it's that stigma. If you like a girl's picture from 3 weeks ago, like, oh, he's creeping. No, go down, watch my videos from 3 years ago. You're not a creeper to have an old laugh. All right, I was just watching Al Bundy clips before I got on here. Those are really old laughs. I'll scroll down decades to get a good laugh. So feel free. Well, if you scroll far enough, my first I Know What You Did video was the red receipt. I called this person the red receipt. The red receipt weaponizer. The red receipt scam. You guys have obviously heard the term, oh, he was left on red. I got left on red. We all know about the people who use the red receipt as a tool for their own personal assault, their own crazy, narcissistic, devilish, demonic purposes. We know this. People intentionally use that red receipt to deceive, to get what they want, to play games with people, to mess with people. Well, there's a whole nother layer to that because people know about that, like, oh, left on red. Well, the red receipt weaponizer, what they do, and in this red receipt scam, they make sure to turn on the push notifications. And they make sure to be able to read the entire text in the preview window. So you, guy at home, you text a girl like, hey, you want to go see a movie tonight? Even though we haven't seen movies in 2 to 3 years now. So I guess let's say this is 2018 with the current technology. Hey, you want to go see a movie tonight? No response. No read, no nothing. Just delivered. The generic delivered. You get a text after that movie's over because she probably went on to some website and saw when that movie was playing. And then she knows because she's read your text in the preview window that you were going to ask her to the movies. She sees what time that movie's going to start. And then she texts you like right around the start time of that movie. Sorry, just saw this. What time's the movie? They use the red receipt to accomplish both feats. They want the credit for being an immediate responder, but they also want to use it for their own personal gain with that sinister approach because they're hoping you see that and say, well, you know what? We missed the movie, but can't fault her. She's a good soul. She opened it at 8:19 and she responded to me at 8:20. She's an immediate responder. No, she's not. She's even worse than the people who left you on red because there is a little honor in just looking at something and then just leaving you on red. Screw this guy because you know what? You know where they stand. This person won't even have the courtesy to crush you. She'll leave you lingering. Or the only reason I have to say she is because I don't know guys who do this. I know some guys who have the red receipt. They're level 1 scumbags. But these level 2 scumbags I've never seen yet from a guy, but I would assume they're out there. This also pertains to Instagram. If you get those DMs, they come in. You could read the whole DM on the front of your screen. And then the person who DM'd you, they check to see if you saw it. They just never opened it. Must have got lost in the muck. It didn't get lost in the muck. The Red Receipt scam was responsible for it. That unseen message. I actually saw in Instagram there's an extra layer of Dante's Inferno. There's an extra layer of Wasteland DMs. Did you guys see that? If you go to your DMs, I think there's general, inbox, then there's requests in like parentheses. All right. But you know what, Brendan? You want to know why I'm doing this live? Because they're a disgrace. Because the Isles are a disgrace and they will blow leads left and right at home. But I am happy to hear that. I'm hoping we can 49ers our way into relevancy, but we'll see what happens. But in the DM, in the Instagram DM, there's general inbox requests, which you probably know, and then now the ninth circle of hell, additional requests. Who the hell gets put in there? That's an all-time low. You're in the additional, you didn't even make the requests. You got shoved into additional requests. I am having plenty of fun. We're actually almost done here. But I did see that. Interestingly enough, I opened that folder. And guess how many requests I had in the additional requests? You guessed it. 0. A grand total of 0. Because you guys know by now, if you've listened, what my Instagram DM is. And that's a cobweb-ridden wasteland where female advances go to die, because I'm still yet to receive my first from a stranger. On that note, thank you guys for joining. A relatively quick one this time around. I don't even know what I talked about, to be honest with you. Just NFL enjoyment, WWE, my friend who left WrestleMania 10 on someone's TV to let her know he had a good time. However, it was equally fun nonetheless. I try to be a little more receptive to what you guys are saying in the chat. The big problem is Instagram does not allow me to retroactively view the second I end one of these lives. All the chat goes with it. So I don't get to go back to those things and revisit them. On YouTube, I do want you to know I screenshot those comments. I'll go back to them, read them, and if there are any questions there, I'll go back to them and answer them at a later date. But thanks, everybody, for joining. I appreciate it very much. Do those things to help me out. If you see me post something on social media, share it to your story. If you text it to a friend, like, have you ever been on TikTok? Oh, I forgot about TikTok. They've been running the whole time. But have you ever been on TikTok? If you even share a link with like a text and somebody else watches it, that even hits the algorithm. It says so-and-so shared your link. Now that person watching it. What's really sick, by the way, is if I share a link to somebody else, that person will get that notification, and that's a weird way to know. By the way, if you don't know who someone is, like if let's say you met someone out, you forgot their name, you forgot who the hell they are, send them a link on TikTok, and then they'll watch it, and then it will reveal who viewed the link. You know what? Hold that thought. That will be a scam of the week next week. There will be a podcast next week. I did see that one. We'll be back. I'll check. You know how it goes. It's always Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. It's going to be one of those 3 nights. I usually let you know early in the week. Thank you for joining. Share anything you see of mine. Share the podcast with anyone who might enjoy it. And I guess I'll see you next week. Take it easy. Have a good day. Here comes the weird 20 seconds where I have to end all the streams and you see a guy in a room hitting the end button on 3 separate devices. Here comes number 1. Here comes number 2. Here comes number 3.